Good morning, everybody. Make sure everyone can hear me okay. Okay, so before we begin, let's pause for a second, make sure everybody has their phones on silent. I know that's something sometimes we forget. Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Bruce. I'm the Dean of Students at Northeast Maritime Institute. And welcome today. Let's get started. Welcome family, friends, faculty, staff, students, and graduates. Excuse me. To the 6th Commencement program for the Northeast Maritime Institute, College of Maritime Science. At this time, please rise for the United States National Anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm delighted and privileged to be here for the 6th commencement of the Northeast Maritime Institute College of Maritime Science for the graduating class of 2022. Today, we celebrate the impressive accomplishments and academic achievements of our graduates, Braden, Caleb, Christopher, and Nicholas. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to introduce you to the Honorable President, Eric DeWicki, for the welcome address.
Good morning. I never prepare for this speech. And the reason that I don't prepare for this time frame in this speech is because I want to speak from the heart. And when you look at these guys, they are our COVID students. And they came in and COVID hit, and COVID was ending basically, not ending, but manageable by the time they left. And today is that period where you're leaving. If there's ever been a resilient group of young men, in this case, it is this group. And they had a lot more to deal with than really any cohort of students that has graduated from NMI thus far. And when you really think about what they had to endure as students, as mariners, they really did a fantastic job. You came in a couple days ago, I gave you a hug, and you said, "Oh, you're going to give me a hug?" Not realizing that, my job was to really make sure that you guys succeeded in your endeavor and on your path. Your voyage was different, and you each taught all of us something. and all of the folks that were part of your educational process, whether they're here or they're not here. And when you really think about the discussions we've had about how to become successful as professional mariners, we talked about the ability to adapt to ambiguity, and that's the ability to adapt to change. Well, all of us have suffered through an immense amount of change during this last 3 years. It's been traumatic, whether we want to admit it or not. And for you guys to start and stick with it through that trauma is something I hope you really reflect on based on the character of you as individuals and you as a cohort. There's just 4 of you. It's a small graduating class. If it was 1 graduating, it would be amazing. So when you think about what you have just endured, and when you really think about what you have gone through, and the success that you're already realizing prior to getting your license, it's been pretty cool. I've got to speak to each of you about a little bit about what you're doing, what you're up to, and you know what I saw in your eye, each one of you? Is a twinkle in your eye. And I thought, that's pretty amazing. They're excited to really tackle what their future is going to look like. And you're going to have an incredibly successful future. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you realize this, but the maritime industry today is the 2nd best paying industry in the nation. We had bumped into a student's dad in the grocery store who graduated 5 years ago. He's earning a living that I could not even have imagined, working 7 months a year. So your futures, your financial futures, are incredibly bright. While that's all good and done, good and said, I should say, it's just a part of life in where that's going to take you. But it's going to open doors that you might not have had opened if you didn't have the capacity to earn a living. And what I love about our graduates from this program is you don't leave here with a ton of debt. You're not burdened with fear. You've succeeded through trials and tribulations that most college graduates don't succeed through. You've heard it from me. I've leaned on you hard, rightfully and wrongfully sometimes. But look at the 4 of you. Look at each other. You are 4 individuals that have created lifelong friendships and a lifelong bond. And you 4, by the way, were buddies. And that was neat to watch. The defender, this guy, I'm going to tell you, I would lead on this guy so hard because he always had a side gig going on and something else that was exciting that was going on. He was like the yeoman in the Coast Guard that was always trying to figure out how to get parts and pieces for his buddies. This guy's going to be a success story right there. That's our entrepreneur. Chris, when you came here, you were so quiet, so shy, and you now stand proud, and you're an adult in a way that I didn't see happening 2 years ago. And man, I'm so proud of the path that you've taken. You really have just grown immensely. You know, when you measure from here to where you are today, wow, it's just amazing. Nicholas, If you all take a look at Nicholas, you can see that Nicholas has embraced his identity. And that's the beauty about this school, is we want all of our students to embrace who they are. While during the 2 years, it's a little bit, okay, tuck in your shirts, cut your hair, shave, do et cetera, et cetera. We're trying to get them squared away just to conform a little bit, because that's part of life. We got to learn how to conform. But when you're done, you get to be you. And you get to be you not only in society, but you get to learn how to embrace other people's differences and accept other people's differences without challenge. And that's the beauty of what we think we're teaching you here, not only as professional mariners, but as people. So I have to tell you, I appreciated seeing your hairdo more than you would ever have guessed this morning, because I was a bit of a punker as a kid. I used to thrash a little bit. So it was fun to see that. But it's really fun to see you four bond and come into the school this morning together and really connect again. And hopefully that continues throughout the rest of your career. I think we talked about when you come to NMI, it's a cradle to grave career. We want you involved in part of the school from the time you start till the time you retire. And we hope you embrace the students that are going to follow you. Caleb, you talked about this web that you're already starting to see. We've only been a college, we've been a maritime training school since 1981, but a college only since 2014. And Caleb said, it's pretty fun because I talk to people out there and they would have gone to school at NMI for 1 or 2 classes, but he sees the NMI graduates in the college program starting to filter into the industry as leaders. That's a pretty cool thing for us, this tiny little school. I call it a micro college. To see our kids start to succeed and take leadership positions in a very rigorous industry. So thanks for sharing that. That made me feel good about what we do here. You built me up this morning. I'm grateful. So, to the 4 of you, your ability to adapt to ambiguity has never been challenged more so for any cohort than the 4 of you. And I think that's the one message I want you to tap into. Change is constant, and you know that, but you guys handled it like the champions that you are, while holding on to your individuality. We didn't want to change who you were as people, as human beings. We wanted you to change as mariners and become ethical decision makers, critical thinkers, to do the right thing when you're out in the field. That's easy for you 4. That's going to be real easy for you 4. What we want to see is you take that leadership role and run with it. Okay? Is that fair? We agree to agree? Ladies and gentlemen, do we agree to agree? We're all going to learn something from these 4. When you really look at them, oh yeah. There's a lot to be proud of. So with that, I'm going to thank you for allowing me to share my view of your experience, and I'll hand it back to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Pam Mello, who will present the Stoles of Gratitude. Mrs. Mello.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to just say thank you so much for sharing your beautiful young men, young sailors with us. It's been a great 2 years, so thank you. We had hoped that this would be an opportunity, reading this legend, that would be an opportunity for our students one more time to hear us remind them the importance of gratitude and actually expressing it. They feel it. The expression is also wonderful. So I'd like to share a legend with you, and it's called The Legend of the Stole of Gratitude. In pre-medieval Europe, a monk traveling the countryside found a starving young boy wandering and dazed throughout his burned-out village, orphaned after the village had been destroyed. The only thing he carried was a piece of fabric from his mother's clothes that had torn off in his hand when the marauders had taken her from him. The monk decided he knew he had to act. He needed to go directly back to the monastery with this young boy, this orphan, and teach him to read and write. He took the opportunity to school the boy in literature, history, and scientific thought, and trained him in the skills of debate and negotiation. The boy learned much and grew, and he was eager to know more of the world. So the monk sent him to the royal city, where he became a squire to a knight. He trained him in horsemanship, swordsmanship, and the subtleties of court society. After several years, and no longer a boy, the young man's talents were brought to the attention of the king. The king decided to make him an advisor to the royal court. Many years later, contemplating his life's journey, this boy felt that he needed to acknowledge the support of his mentors. So he took some fabric from his mother's dress, which he had always carried with him, some of the wool from his monastic robes, and some of the silk tunic he now wore. With this, he fashioned 2 stoles, embroidered with the runic symbol of his village, the crest of the knight he had served, and the emblem of the royal court. He then presented these stoles to the monk and the knight, along with letters proclaiming his gratitude. Eventually became a widely respected royal ambassador, but he never forgot the kindness and generosity which had enabled him to achieve success. It became a tradition that was spread throughout the world and which is still observed today. The stole became a symbol of achievement of students and also faculty, with the varying colors and emblems symbolizing different levels of institutions and study. Today, the stole of gratitude is worn by the graduate student during the commencement ceremony as a symbol of their academic achievement and presented with honor to those who provided aid and support in reaching their goal. The stole is still worn, and you are to wear it through the entire ceremony. And at the end, if you decide you'd like to embrace this time-honored tradition and share your stole with someone, we ask you after the ceremony to approach them, take your stole with some kind words of gratitude, and gently place it around their neck. I would like to ask all 4 of you graduates at this moment to approach the stadium one at a time. If we can start with Nick. Chris?
What a wonderful tradition. It's my honor to introduce Dr. Angela DeWicki, Chief Academic Officer of Northeast Maritime Institute, who will be presenting the Lemley List Awards. Angela.
So this is always a wonderful experience for all of us, but for me, it's almost like graduating 4 more children that I adopted for 2 years. So I'm still amazed at the growth and the maturity that happens in just 2 years. Sometimes it's just incredible to watch. It's almost like, slow motion photography. And both academically, socially, emotionally, it's just incredible. So my role this morning is to present the Lemley List Awards. And this award is named after Norman Lemley, who had an incredible career with the U.S. Coast Guard. He finished his career at the National Maritime Center, which I think most of our students and graduates have heard of already. It manages the licensing for merchant mariners. So they approve our program here at the school, they approve courses, and they're responsible for marine safety. And so Norman Lemley was key in maritime safety, pollution prevention. He actually was the one who was responsible for orange being the color of PFDs and international orange, right, for safety. And spent many years at the International Maritime Organization working on maritime policy for maritime safety, pollution prevention, and just had an incredible career. We were fortunate enough, Eric and I in Northeast Maritime Institute, to get to work with Norman for over 15 years, if not longer, and was very instrumental in many of the programs that we do and pushing us to start the college program. So we have named our honors program and honors awards after Norman Lemley. So the Lemley List is the term for someone who's obtained the minimum GPA, both each semester that you're here, and then today I will be giving an award to a student who obtained Lemley List honors for the entire 4 semesters they were here, which means no grade lower than a C, I believe. I'm sorry, I'm doing off the top of my head, and a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. So let's see, they're right under here. How was that for the off the top of my head? So it's okay. So if I could have Caleb Begley please approach the stage. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dewicki, and congratulations, Caleb. Our next speaker is NMI's Registrar, Mrs. Valerie Stewart, who will be presenting the Kehoe Awards.
Okay. Senior Steve Kehoe, also known as Jules to many of us, was a member, highly respected, much-loved faculty member in our Nautical Science department. She left us much too soon. After an honorable career serving her country and contributing to the safety of our seas, Senior Chief Kehoe retired from the U.S. Coast Guard as Chief Boatswain's Mate just days before starting at NMI. The rank insignia for Chief Petty Officers in the USCG tells the story of the trials and lessons that come with the responsibility of the position. One symbol in particular stands out. The chain fouled around an anchor is known as the sailor's disgrace, reminding the chief that there may be times when there are circumstances beyond their control and in the performance of duty, yet a chief must still complete the task. It is during these times that humility and fortitude are brought to bear. Jules embodied that and led by example, showing all of our students how to carry themselves with dignity and pride and to not only get the job done, but to get it done correctly. I'd like to take this time to recognize a couple of our graduating student mariners for following Jules' example of being a good shipmate by awarding the Senior Chief Kehoe Award. So at this time, it's my pleasure to present the Kehoe Award to both Caleb Begley and Nicholas Taxiger. the award reads, "The honor is awarded to a student mariner that reflects NMI's core values of honest integrity and hard work, and demonstrates sustained, exceptional standards of proficiency and conduct, and whose professional appearance and bearing are consistently impeccable." Sorry. "This award shall be in recognition of student mariners that demonstrate through action that they are following the example and tradition of Senior Chief Boatswain's Mate Jules Kehoe, USCG retired." Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
How awesome. Congratulations, Caleb and Nick. Well deserved. Next, we have Captain Aaron Pelino with a special message for our graduates.
I actually wrote mine down here because otherwise I wouldn't remember anything. 2 years ago, Cohort 11 came to NMI under awkward circumstances. Classes started online, and when we returned to in-person, each cohort was assigned a building in which all their classes, meals, and activities took place. None of us would consider this an ideal circumstance. But there were some unexpected benefits. From the start, you learned to rely on each other and work as a cohort. The bonds that you formed here are the true bonds of shipmates. When you go to sea for months at a time and have no choice but to interact with the same small group each day, interesting relationships develop. You aren't always happy to be together, but in the end, you learn to rely on each other's strengths and shoulder up each other's weaknesses. In your 4 semesters here, there was no doubt these bonds formed. You came to us individuals from different backgrounds and experience, representing 4 states and wildly different upbringings. You came to know and rely on each other deeply. This will serve you well in life. On paper, you leave here with a degree in Nautical Science, a knowledge of navigation and seamanship, a continuation of the maritime traditions that many people think are relegated to the pages of history. For you, they are real. They are important and will factor into your life long after you leave the classroom. But that is only a part of what you have gained here. In addition to the technical knowledge, there is another piece. We have 3 tenets of success here at NMI: honesty, integrity, and hard work. If you're sitting here in front of me, there is no doubt in my mind that you all know how to do the last one. And if you keep up that hard work, you'll always have a job in this industry. Honesty. If you're honest, especially when you mess up, you'll be able to earn trust and respect. With honesty and hard work, there is very little that you won't be able to accomplish. And integrity. Doing the right thing even when no one is looking, especially when the choice isn't easy. You'll always be faced with shortcuts, easy ways out. At times, these result in success. When every card falls in your favor, you may get to wipe the nervous sweat off your brow and chalk up a near miss. More often, they result in losses. So maintain your integrity. People will follow your example. The maritime industry is small, and your reputation will precede you, so make it a good one. This graduation ceremony is a little different than most traditional college commencements. When you walk out of this room, you will be a graduate of NMI. That part is true. And like most schools, you will be able to put that on your resume, hang the diploma on the wall, and be proud of your accomplishment. But that's only one part of graduating here. You're not only a college graduate, you're also a merchant marine officer. And in that, you've gone from a student to a peer in 2 short years. This license is pretty substantial. Just by having it, you can find yourself in positions where people will look for your advice and assistance. But don't forget what we have told you many times. This is a license to learn. I was in your position once, 23 years old, with a Coast Guard ticket in hand, running boats the length of the East Coast. And lucky that all the cards fell in line. It took a few years and a few near misses for me to realize there was a whole lot that I didn't know. But thankfully, I eventually did realize it, and we've given you a lot of information and shared a lot of experiences and our own near misses with you. But we're not done with you today. When you walk out of these doors, you walk into a close-knit community of mariners, our community. So continue to ask us questions. Let us know if you need a meal or a bed when you're passing through. You may have started out here as students, trapped all day in Lemley Hall, but now you're shipmates.
Beautiful. Thank you, Captain Pelino. Now, I am privileged to introduce our next speaker, the Honorable Gwendolyn Sykes. Dr. Sykes is the United States Secret Service Chief Financial Officer. She began working with the Secret Service in May 2012, bringing with her a wealth of financial management skills and talent for organizational transformation and enhancement. Among her many accomplishments, she is the first African-American female to serve as the Chief Financial Officer at NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the United States Senate, she was responsible for the financial management and health of the $16 billion agency. Dr. Sykes has also served as Yale University's Chief Financial Officer, the first in that university's 306-year history, and the Chief Financial Officer for Morehouse College. Previous government experience includes working with the Department of Defense and in the office of U.S. Senator Ted Stevens. She has also been recognized for her achievements for Black Enterprise, Newsweek, the Today Show, and the National Black Caucus of State Legislatures. Please welcome Dr. Sykes to the podium to speak with our graduates.
Wow, that chick's pretty impressive. Let me tell you what the real impressive thing is, gentlemen. You ready? I was the professor between somebody on this stage and their ability to get a grade and to graduate. Right, Mr. DeWicki?
Yes, ma'am.
That's really impressive, would you say, guys? And I want to hear a little bit more impressive? Come November, I get another DeWicki in my class. Morgan. So pray for me come November and December. I'm teaching Morgan, okay? Well, welcome, gentlemen. This is the day. 2 years in the making. Oh my goodness. You come to NMI and we got this thing called COVID. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I'm gonna call y'all the COVID class, okay? You're gonna call it the CC class, all right? But my message to you today, and let me tell you, they called me midweek last week and said, Ms. Sykes, you've got to come and talk to this class. I said, why? I said, well, they're 4 impressive gentlemen, and boy, are you guys impressive, okay? So I'm excited about being here. Got on a plane late last night, went to bed at 10, popped up at 7. He made me tea. He makes actually a pretty good tea. And here I am right now, ready for you. And by the way, when we get out of here, we're going to start dancing. Because this is your day. You guys have suffered, endured, made it through, hung with Eric, and done this in the last 2 years of COVID. So when I was thinking about you and your class and being the COVID class, one word came to mind, and I want you guys to think about this as you continue through your career. It's called grit. Grit is sticking with your future, day in and day out, not just a week, not just a month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality, okay? We've come through this academic and this pandemic. I'm with the president, it's over, okay? I'm not wearing a mask up here, I'm over it. If it's not over, it will be over, okay? But we've gotten through this time frame. But while we focused on COVID and the pandemic, many other things were going on. We had civil unrest going on. We had people working remotely, okay? I'm an accountant, and as you can probably tell, I'm not quite the introvert. I'm definitely the extrovert, okay? So locking me up in my house with a computer with my 81-year-old mother not good. For 2 years, okay? So COVID has had its challenges, but I remember trying to lean on that word grit. I remember phone calls with Angela and Eric, texts to Hannah and Morgan, trying to make sure that they were providing you with that academic experience and telling them to hold on and telling them to make it happen because it's bigger than them. And they did. And we will continue to support them in doing that. I remember working to protect the White House, as you probably saw in the news, all the fun visitors that we had throughout that time frame. Oh boy, it's been fun. And I'm so glad that we made it through. But can you imagine my special agents and my uniform division folks having to get up every day during that time frame, risking their lives with COVID, recognizing that they have family and children at home, which you will at some point in time, okay? And recognizing that they still had a job to do, okay? And that's what it will be for you. Right now, your future is definitely bright. My significant other works in what we call supply chain, okay? One of the biggest elements of supply chain is the mariners. We need you out there. We need you out there every day. We need you out there making it happen. But most important, we need you because the world depends on you. My ability to get DSW shoes depends on you, okay? That's one of all moms out here can agree with that, right? Produce, not so much. DSW, so much, okay? But we definitely need you guys doing that. And I know that you have the grit and the tenacity to make it happen out there in that world. And you're probably saying to yourself, why did they pick the CFO to come and talk to me? Well, first of all, I'm on the board of trustees. Second of all, you know, this dusty sailor next door, you know, he knows he can always call on me. But as he said, your financial future is bright, okay? And while you have that bright financial future, don't waste it, okay? Your parents will tell you, save for that rainy day. You will get younger/older. And you will need to have a few pennies in the bank, okay? And I'm that girl to help you with that, okay? I do DSW shoes, but I do got money in the bank to make sure that we can retire. But that's something that all of you will need to have. And it's gonna take a little grit to make that happen too, okay? So don't squander this great opportunity in future. Think about today, go and get those things that you like, but also remember about that future, okay? So, grit has brought you here. Grit's going to get you through. And I know that we're looking for a better tomorrow. But I want you to never forget the last 2 years and that incredible spirit that you had. Starting out online, getting together and working in one place, living and eating together. But it's that spirit that got you through. So the neat thing about me is I got to talk to some folks before I got here, and I said, only 4 students? Oh, this is going to be grand. Next year it's going to be a little harder. It's 10 of y'all, huh, that are going to graduate. Maybe. 10 of y'all. So Caleb, you will be the best leader due to your sense that you have a good sense of things, and you're way ahead of the pack, as they say. So my advice to you is just keep trusting your gut, my dear, and it will see you through. Your instincts are good, is what your faculty and your folks are telling me. Chris, so where's your fishing poles and kayak? We're going after this, Mom. Okay? That incredible spirit to take your joy with you at all times will serve you well in those challenging times. Remember that. So don't let anybody pick on you about your kayak or your fishing poles. Okay. Braden. Sorry, Braden. It's spelling. I didn't type mine. I put mine on my iPad. Rumor has it you have a thing about flying. Or you don't like to fly? You don't like to fly? I have a 5 o'clock flight this afternoon. You want to give it a try? Well, think of your flying hours like your sea hours, okay? Time well spent, because it's going to take you places and you're going to have the opportunity to be more than you were in that moment and those times that you have to sit on that lovely plane. If not, get you an iPad, play some games. You'll get through it. All right. Did I get everyone? Nicholas. Huh? Nikolai. Oh, Nick. So, Nick likes to hunt and fish, but they never told me what you hunted up here. You're not, where do you hunt? Oh, what you hunting down south? Boar? Deer? Okay. All right, well, we might have to do a little hunting. I'm originally from Alaska. That's why the hunting and fishing is important to me. Okay? But recognizing that you, Nick, like to make hunting and fishing your opportunity, you have to recognize that as you're out there in that quietness and doing that for yourself, that you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. The world will come along. That great deer will come out of that forestry and you'll be able to get that buckshot, or you're able to reel in that good big trout if you're taking care of yourself and you're focused on that. Okay? So recognizing that you're coming into the Mariners Club, shall we call it, I'd like to introduce you guys to a new club and another club, which is my club, which is the Secret Service. So I have for each one of you, which I brought from Washington, D.C., and I'm going to come present them to you, the United States Secret Service coin, but it's actually my coin, which also has my name on it. So at any point in time in your careers or in your endeavors, you find yourself back up against a wall or you're having the biggest joy of them all, I want you to reach out to me. I'm kind of easy to find, trust and believe. If not, this mariner over here will get in touch with me, okay? But know that you're joining a great family and a great opportunity, and I am so, so happy to be here for each one of you on this day on your graduation. So congratulations. So it's going to be 10 next year, gentlemen? 10 graduates? 4? 1? Just you? We're going to have to work on this graduation rate.
We're good. We needed a break.
All right. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Whew. I don't know. Gwen, so impressive. Congratulations to all of you students, graduates. Next up, I would like to introduce Miss Wendy Weinstein, excuse me, Vice Chairman of the Board. Wendy, if you'd like to come up, please, to the podium for the conferring of degrees. Oh, I don't know who's left that.
I agree. This is a great job I have today. Maybe I have the best job. President DeWicki, distinguished guests, parents, friends, and graduates, on behalf of the Northeast Maritime Institute College of Maritime Science Board of Trustees, I am proud to congratulate the class of 2022. You've worked hard. You can't get enough congratulations. You've achieved an amazing goal, and you've set a strong foundation for your future. You're about to embark on a wonderful career in the maritime industry. We'd like for you to remember always that no matter what path you take, NMI will always be here to support you in all your endeavors. Just don't forget that. And now for the best part. Speaking for the Board of Trustees, I authorize you, Eric Duricki, to confer the Associate in Applied Science and Nautical Science degrees to the graduates upon the approval of the faculty.
I'll let you announce it.
Okay, great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gathered today to celebrate the achievements, hard work, and dedication of our graduates. We will now begin the most important part, and the part you've all been waiting for, of graduation ceremony, the conferring of degrees. Caleb Begley.
Caleb.
Braden King.
You did it. Thank you. Just hold that up for John to take a picture of. Thanks. Hey, I'm proud of you. I really am.
Christopher Nelson.
I'm just gonna fix your stowaway on you.
Just the one. Thank you.
So, hey, thank you. I'm proud of you.
And last but certainly never least, Nicholas Taxacre.
So proud of you. You have no idea.
Awesome. All right, well, congratulations, NMI class of 2022. Caleb, Braden, Chris, and Nick, congratulations. I'm now going to pass things over to President Eric Duricki for the honoring degree.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, each graduation, we get an opportunity to select a person that is deserving of an honorary degree from Northeast Maritime Institute. And we give that degree in an Associate in Arts in Educational Service. But that degree really goes to somebody who means a lot to both the Institute and its progress and how it really has developed over the years. And that person that we select every year is just absolutely special to the Institute and us as people. I'm going to tell you a little story about hawse pipers. hawse pipers are mariners who start at the very bottom of the barrel as ordinary seamen. I was one of them. And it's the thing that I think I'm most proud of in my career is to be able to call myself a hawse piper. I started my career cleaning toilets and chipping paint and making beds and washing walls and floors on my hands and knees and making sure there wasn't a speck of dust in the corners. When you climb the ladder as a hawse piper from ordinary seaman to able-bodied seaman to third mate to second mate to chief mate, the cargo mate to captain, it's a pretty spectacular piece of work. It's rare. It is as rare as it gets in our industry. You go to work, you go to school, you upgrade your license, you go to work. It takes a long time. But more importantly, it takes a long time to deal with the headaches of going that route because it's a little bit frowned upon. And everybody says, oh, you can't do that, you can't succeed. So the gentleman that we are going to confer this degree on not only did that hawse piping route, he became a master mariner of unlimited tonnage to be the captain of any size vessel in the world. Any size vessel in the world and drive it around the world. That's even more rare to be able to do that. And so when I bumped into this fella and found out that he was a master unlimited mariner with an unlimited tonnage, but he was also a captain of tankers, that's a guy I looked up to. And I could really kind of bow down and say, wow. But this fellow not only finished his career, he decided to give back. And we say something here at Northeast Maritime Institute and in our family. In Latin, it is semper redere. And semper redere means to always give back. We have givers and takers in this life, and we think we fashion ourselves as givers. And this gentleman, this master mariner, came here after his career to give back and to teach his students the finer skills of what it is to be a mariner at sea as a captain of the largest vessels in the world, to keep them safe, secure, and really making sure we were having no environmental protection problems, et cetera, et cetera. The responsibilities are en masse. I am proud today to confer to Captain George Howard Barlow, I always get emotional, an Associate in Arts in Education Service, because I really, truly look up to you and am proud to get to work with you. You are a hawse piper.
Right over the top again.
Stand out here, take your picture.
Wow, this is a wow moment for me. I wasn't expecting this at all. But we were talking about paths earlier, and the path I took was a little bit weird. I started off sailing on yachts, motor yachts, sailing yachts, back in the 1970s, and I ended up getting my 100-ton master's license in about 1977. And I sailed on motor yachts, large motor yachts, and it was during the 1976 tall ships that we were finding our way through different waters, and one of the waters we were in was in the Bahamas before we left for Connecticut. So I'm in the Bahamas, and this is a pivotal moment for me. We were at in the Berry Islands in the Bahamas, and back in the day, before we had segregated ballast, and all of my students know about segregated ballast by now, I hope, there wasn't segregated ballast. So all of the crude oil that was left in the pipelines and in the pumps of all these cargo tankers was basically flushed over the side, okay? And it polluted all of the waters around the Berry Islands with these tar balls, right? These huge tar balls. And so I'm now a master of a 103-foot Fed ship motor yacht on charter to rich people. And one of the ladies in the party decided that she was going to ask me what she should do to clean off the tar on the bottom of her feet from these tar balls that would wash up on the shore. And I says, yeah, I have something for that. I have some cigarette lighter fluid. And so I brought her the can of cigarette lighter fluid, and she said to me, Captain, would you please wash the bottom of my feet with the fluid? And I says, lady, I don't do feet, you know? So she was insulted, and needless to say, I got a very small tip on that trip. Okay, but that changed my path. I said to myself, you know, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life. You know, I want to go commercial. That's what I want to do. I want to sail commercial. So I went up to Boston. I sat for my able seaman's license up in Boston, and I caught my first ship as able seaman in 1980. Okay, so 1980, I catch this C3 freighter going to Bremerhaven, Germany, with all of this cars and personal effects of all of the military personnel stationed in Germany. Well, we get into this horrendous storm, and everything was destroyed on the ship. Everything broke loose, all the cargo broke loose, and I'm on watch, and I'm saying to myself, did I make a mistake here in life, you know? And, you know, so we get to Bremerhaven, and the pilot who escorts the vessel in, and he hits the big gantry crane on the dock. So now I've gone through, you know, horrendous seas. I've now smashed into a crane. This is my first trip on a ship, all right? This is my first trip on a ship. And so I said to myself, I don't think I want to do this, right? So on the ride home, it was perfect weather. I learned so much from all of the guys on board. And I said, well, you know, I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to do another trip. So I made another trip and another trip. And next thing I know, it's 1987, I think it was. And I'm looking at the quality of the third mate on the bridge of the ship that I was on. And I'm saying to myself, if that guy can be a third mate, I know I can be a third mate, right? So that's what I did. I sat for my third mate's license. At the time, the school was on Water Street in Fairhaven, and with the help of Northeast Maritime, I got my third mate's license. And I caught my first ship right away. I was very lucky. I caught my first ship right away. I was working for Marine Transport Lines out of Secaucus, New Jersey. Excuse me. And they sent me as a third mate on a tanker in California, okay? So I'm in Long Beach, California. I'm catching my first ship as a third mate, and it's in ballast. The ship is in ballast, and this is a VLCC, a very large crude carrier. You guys all know what I'm talking about. And the only way to board this VLCC was through a pilot ladder, a Jacob's ladder, a rope ladder. And I find myself now climbing up the side of the ship on a rope ladder, and I'm looking down, and the tugboat that brought me out there was getting smaller and smaller. And I'm saying, whoa, what did I get myself into here? So I end up standing my first watch as we heaved anchor. Right away, I was up on the bridge doing my thing. And the captain was the best captain in the world. He was, Brett McDaniels was his name. He was from California, super guy. So he says, after he heaved up the anchor and secured the anchor, he looked at me, he says, "Okay, George, you got it, see you later." And he went below, right? And now I'm up on the bridge with an AB and navigating through the Channel Islands off of the coast of California, which is all protected area. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, this is a 1,000-foot long ship, right? And I ended up getting it out of there, and everything was fine. And I just kept increasing my license. As soon as I had the time for my next license, I says, I'm doing it. And then my chief mate, and then master. When I got my master's license, it was like a moment like this, right? A very special moment. So, to make a long story short, it's a very rewarding career to everyone sitting here. I would recommend it to anyone. I would recommend this school to anyone. And I want to thank the DeWicki family for bringing this institution to the small seaside town of Fairhaven. I think it's a wonderful school, a wonderful people, number one. Everyone I've met at Northeast Maritime has been super, students included. Not all of them, but some of them. But thank you very much for this award. I will cherish it always. Thank you.
Okay. Eric, would you like to do some closing remarks? We are wrapping up our graduation of the day.
Well, this is always a pretty special experience, and it's, as you guys know from me, I kind of live off of emotional fumes half the time because I'm so tired from work, and what keeps me going is my passion. And, you know, not only my passion for the industry, because I really think that's the most incredible industry in the world. I just love everything about the ocean, being on it, in it, or near it. And I really feel like we had to shift how we train mariners to become professional mariners in a way that they felt that same passion in that commitment to protecting the ocean as we're operating on it. And in just 2 years we do that versus the traditional 4-year model at the academies, which they do a good job, but I thought we could do it differently to get you guys out into the workforce right away. And when I really think about what we do here, I'm proud, I'm humbled oftentimes, but it really reminds me when I think about the people that work here. And George, you know, you kind of you hit the nail on the head. You know, really the people that come through here, work here, students that go here. I think I've met maybe 2 people that I truly didn't like in the 27 years I've been, you know, part of the school. Even the people that think I didn't like them, I actually like them. And, you know, the reality is my job is to just make sure we're doing a great job in creating professional mariners. And when you really think about what you experienced this summer when you went on your summer semester at sea, people looked up to you because you are actually honest, integral, and hardworking. And we hear that from the people you work with. And so we want you to carry that on. And we want you to demonstrate who you are as Northeast Maritime Institute mariners. That when the public looks at you, they're going to look up to you. And they're going to look at you as truly professional mariners. And again, we have to make sure we don't ever violate our responsibilities. We protect the ocean, we protect the systems that we work within to protect the ocean, because the ocean, ladies and gentlemen, without the ocean, the earth is a scorched earth. We have to learn how to protect it even better going into the future. So I'm truly proud of who you are as people. how you persevered. And really, I'm proud of you based on the path you're going to take. Some of you know exactly what you're going to do. Some of you, you're looking at it, hey man, I've got opportunities. And I think that's the beauty of this program, is we're learning, we're teaching you, and we are learning together how to become flexible in life. It's great to see former graduates in the crowd, and thank you guys for coming and to support your friends and colleagues. That's a beautiful moment for me. And I'll tell you, moms, dads, uncles, brothers, sisters, aunts, grandparents, you got a lot to be proud of in these young men, because they are truly fine young men. They really didn't get into any trouble in these 2 years. That's nothing what you guys got into. It's nothing. I won't say that to the future students. These guys were got in a lot of trouble, you know. These guys are great guys because they had to deal with a lot and a lot of ambiguity. We didn't know what was going on with COVID. We were all learning together, and they tolerated us as much as we tolerated them. So thank you. Semper Redere, always give back, and please be proud of this school because you make this school. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. The class of 2022.